All right, welcome everybody to Prompt Like a Pro, Guiding Copilot to Success. During the session, feel free to just raise your hand, ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'm Ana Flores. I've been with Alethea since 2014, and I have my bachelor's degree in mathematics, Cleveland, Ohio. I speak English, learned English by the time I was 13, working on learning a little bit of French and practice sign language here and there if I can remember the signs. So why don't we go ahead and take a moment to go around the room and introduce ourselves, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
I'm June Teufel Dreyer. And
Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Giuliano Spazioni, Senior Network Architect, UMIT Telecommunications.
All right.
see you again.
All right, go ahead.
I'm Vivian Mansour. I'm professor in modern languages and literatures and director of Miami Institute for Advanced Study of Yoga.
Oh, wonderful. Nice to meet you.
I'm doing a history in history and doing my doctorate second year and so assisting at the engagement.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome. Thank you. And your name and
Hi, I'm Ania Laredo. I'm the senior manager on the talent and organizational development team, which is part of human resources, and I work on our workplace engagement and culture
welcome.
programming.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us. All right. So everybody on the website online should have the link. And then everybody in here, we have the sign-in links. Please sign in to let us know that you're here. And let's go ahead and continue here. So we're going to be working with Copilot. Whether you've actually gotten a chance to use it or seen it, we'll go ahead and teach you some of the tools that it's going to help you take advantage of using. We're going to help you generate text, create and improve your content, and also work with your tasks. We'll show you one of the best personal assistants during your meetings. You're going to have somebody taking your notes for you, essentially. Well, Copilot's going to help you with your notes in your meetings. And so we'll go ahead and look through some of the features and such. So we'll articulate your requests with your elements. We'll go ahead and provide additional information and follow-up results to refine the responses. And then we'll also take a look at the best practices for working with Copilot and working with professional results, because that's the end goal. We don't want it to seem like a kindergarten did our work for us, and then we're going to come in here and take a look at revising the work and finding the work here. So when you're working in Copilot, you're going to know that you have your license for Copilot, because right now, first of all, I'm in the home page for Office 365. This is the homepage for Outlook, Teams, PowerPoint, etc. And you can go to that simply by going to office.com, or as you can see at the top, m365.cloud.microsoft.com. So if you've requested Copilot, I believe it takes up to 72 hours for you to have it available in your device for you to start working with it. Now, once you have Copilot, you'll see the work tab as well as the web tab. And
Now,
that,
wait a minute, how would it show up on? I open my computer in the morning, and where is this going to show up?
So for the people who are online, the question was, how does Copilot show up on my computer when I get the license? It's going to show up throughout different applications in Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook. So it's not going to be in your computer as an app per se. You're going to see it, for example, in Microsoft Teams on the navigation pane. You'll see Copilot here. And then you'll also see it through the different applications that you're using. For example, in Word, on the home page, you'll see the Copilot icon. So it is part of your Office 365 license, and it's going to be working with your Office 365 applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, etc.
Okay. Wait, it'll show up on my Outlook.
Yes, you'll see it within your Outlook. Yes, sir.
But is it also available as an app? Because I just downloaded it on my Mac.
Yes, I believe, Celeste, and then they'll be able to go ahead and use it throughout your apps. So anything that people have permissions to work with, Outside of Copilot, Copilot is going to remain with those permissions. It's not going to grant people permissions that they don't already have. And Copilot is only going to be working with files that are in your OneDrive for Business, your SharePoint for Office 365, and your Teams document libraries. Mm-hmm.
Even if we use.
Exactly. It's not going to have access to your box files or to your computer files. You may have your files synchronized to your OneDrive for Business. So your desktop, your documents, your pictures, those files, if they are synchronized. So essentially, if you go to File Explorer and they have icons like these, that means they're synchronized. Whereas if you go to another network drive or your files are simply not synchronized to your OneDrive or your SharePoint document libraries, if they don't have these icons, the Copilot is not going to have access to them. Absolutely. You're very welcome. So once we start working with Copilot, we're going to see the chat here. And this is where we're going to request Copilot to do work for us. Copilot is going to work with prompts, and that's the focus of today's class. What are you asking Copilot to do? And what are you expecting from Copilot for you to help you get your work done? So it's going to be like a conversation. Add details to your request, etc. So as we're working with our prompts, we're going to be working with writing tips. We're going to take a look at the quality of the results. Just like when we request an assignment from a student, the less details we give to them, the worse the assignment that they turn in, essentially, right? If we don't give them exact instructions for the homework assignment, they're just going to leave it up to very abstract, and the return that we get from those students is going to be very general. And those students who go above and beyond are going to continue to go above and beyond. Those students who are used to giving you the minimum are going to do that. But the same thing with Copilot. The more details you give it, the better the output that it's going to be for you. So the prompts here, we're going to work with, what are we working with? So for example, who are the key faculty items working on this content? And we're going to be able to edit the text here as well. So check it for inconsistencies. It also translates documents, for example, to French. I personally have found, however, that the translations are better on the web version than they are on the work version. And we'll discuss that shortly. And then it also summarizes. And sometimes I have found that it does give us a summary, but then it's basically the majority of the content in the document. So if we tell it, give me a summary with 50 words or fewer, then it'll work on that rather than giving you a longer. And then, for example, if you want to create content from scratch for history or for the language department and such, it'll help us with that and provide a summary on specific projects as well. So when we're making our prompts, you're going to think of the goal of what you want to get done. So for example, generate 5 bullet points here. Who do we want? What is involved? Why do we want this? And what is the source that it's going to use? Now, earlier I said it's going to work with your files in SharePoint, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams. However, if your file is in your computer and you want that to be referenced, you can upload it to the prompt and have Copilot reference that file that you've uploaded. And then you can see Copilot, what are your expectations? For example, here, please use simple language so I can get up to speed quickly. Or sometimes I will simply open up text or an article and say, translate this to me so that I can understand it as if I were in 5th grade, just because the text is so complex, whether it's medical text or whether it's professional or legal text, and I just have problems understanding this. So those are some of the things that we're going to be able to do with Copilot. Translate, transform, rewrite, correct, check other content that you're going to be using. So let's go ahead and open up Microsoft Word, for example. And I'm simply going to create a brand new document, Control N. Now this document, when I have Copilot, a very blank document, nothing is in here. I see that the autosave is disabled. The floppy disk doesn't have the arrows in front of it. That tells me that this file is not in the cloud. This is not a saved document at all. I open up the Copilot icon. Copilot is then going to give me prompts like the ones we saw on the PowerPoint presentation to create content. And now, one telltale sign to let you know that you have Copilot on your Office applications. Remember back in the day, we used to have Clippy. Now we have Copilot in the window. We see here recent documents that I've been working on. And it's telling me prompts already. Draft the document based on an existing file that's already in the cloud that I was working on. Create a proposal based on this other document that I had opened, whether it was in SharePoint, OneDrive, or Teams. It doesn't matter if the files are yours. The point is you were working on them. And that means that you had permissions to work on them already. And then create a proposal based on this file as well. Now, the window here, right underneath, this is our new Clippy, essentially Copilot to get started and work with content. So yes, Clippy was nice back in the day. So what I'm going to do here is tell Copilot what are the ethics in the AI program and who are the key faculty. So let me go ahead and bring over my prompt.
I mean, what document are you drawing this from?
So this one is just a request that I'm asking Copilot to give to me. I'm not referencing any files. And if I do want to reference files, I'll actually use this /. So this is going to be your best friend when you're working in Copilot, the /. This is going to allow you to reference files, meetings, as well as emails. If you want to write an upcoming agenda, or if you want to write a follow-up email to a meeting that you had, you can go ahead and reference them here.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
On U.S. defense budget for next year.
Yes.
Do I just type defense budget? Do I use the /, the /? What do I do?
So the question for those online was, if I want to write a lecture on the U.S. defense budget for next year, how do I go about it? So the question here is then, do you have files in your document that already support this? No, nothing. So you're working from scratch.
Yeah.
So you're going to do some research in this case. And in this case, I personally wouldn't suggest to start from Word. We would go back and do the old way and do some research. And by that, I mean, we would go over to Copilot on the web. And I want to say, I want to do the research and I want to do this. Otherwise, why on the web? I heard the question. Because from what I heard in the question was, I don't have any resources already existing in my work environment. So we go back to grade school where we were taught to do research on the internet, use reliable sources, use sources with that EDU, that government. So you're still the end user. Copilot is not going to do all the work for you. So that's what I like to reiterate. It's not replacing you as an employee. It's just going to help you get your work done.
Research from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
completely new. I look at it as, oh, it's like Bing, but on steroids.
Exactly,
Okay.
yes. Kind of like, that's what we used to say about OneNote, a filing cabinet on steroids. Anyways, ADHD moment. Sorry.
You're welcome.
Yes, yes. So yes, so if that's the case, you can then request the prompt on the web because you're going to start from scratch. But yes, you're more than welcome to do the request in Microsoft Word. One of the things that I encounter when I make the draft, for example, you saw me, what are the ethics in the AI program and who are the key faculty? When I'm doing this, it's working. And one of the things that I have found when I'm working in Microsoft Word is that it does not give me the resources. But if I do this directly in Microsoft Teams, whether I'm doing this on the Work tab or in the Web tab, then let's take a look. So people ask me, what do you prefer? Personally, I'm just going to tell you my personal experience, but everybody's going to be working differently and working for what works for them. Because some people prefer to drive stick, other people prefer to drive manual. It's a car, it gets you places, but it's about how you use the tools. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is go over to Copilot on the Work tab, and I am on the Teams version because I want you to experience using it from different locations. And again, I have Copilot on the navigation pane here, and I'm going to ask the same request. What is the ethics in an AI program and who are the key faculty? This time I'm working on the Work tab. I am not asking Word to create a document for me. I am asking it to look through my resources, through my emails, through my chats, through my files that I already have access to use. So let's go ahead and see. And it's searching for that. It's searching for ethics in AI program. And it looks like I have some files that I have permissions to use, and then the key contributors are here. So when I tell you to do this in Microsoft Teams, rather than creating the documents, for example, in Microsoft Word, when we work from it within Microsoft Teams, you're going to receive the resources at the bottom, whether it's a SharePoint site that you have permissions to use, whether it's an email that you have received, or whether it's meetings, or in this case, we take a look here and we see that it's the link to ethics.miami.edu. And that's because I work here and that's what I can access. So, like I said, when I go to Microsoft Word, it creates the content for me. It finally finished, by the way. And so it did the introduction, it did the objectives of the program, it did the core curriculum exactly. And it's a great document. But as you can see here, I have to then go check and correct and see if this is actually reliable as the end user. Whereas if I'm using it in Microsoft Teams, like again, this is my personal experience, and I don't know if I should even be saying these things, but this is what works for me. This is what I've experienced. When I do the work in Microsoft Teams, it's not creating a document for me, so then I'm the one responsible for creating the document, pulling from these sources, and then it did the research for me. I'm the one taking a look at the SharePoint sites, and if I don't have permissions to it, it's not going to use those sources for me to work from. All right. So I'm going to open up a document that already exists within my OneDrive. And to do so, I'm just going to go to the File, Open menu. And I can go to my OneDrive. By the way, if you didn't know, you should be able to go to your Word documents, locate your OneDrive folder, locate your folders, your files. And let me see here. I'm just going to search for ethics. Oh, it's going to be here. So this is a Word document that already exists within the cloud. It has the autosave on, it has the floppy disk in front of it, and here is the Copilot icon. By the way, your Copilot icon is going to be different depending on the application and the tools that you're using. It does not mean that you're always going to be looking for a colorful ribbon. And sometimes it's just going to be giving you a sparkly icon. In this case, because we're working in Word, Copilot is there for us with the pencil. So when I see those stars, those sparkles, that tells me that's a Copilot tool that I can use and take advantage of it. And again, if I hover over it, you'll see there, draft with Copilot. So here I can, let's say a coworker sent this over to me. Now it's my job to review it. And I need to take a look and change the tone. Maybe it's not enthusiastic enough. Maybe I want to compel the team to actually be supportive of me or to actually engage with Copilot and such. So let's go ahead and highlight the text. Notice that in your pop-up tools, we'll see the Copilot icon. And in this case, you'll see the auto rewrite options. Keep writing this, so add additional content, make this shorter, make this formal, or my favorite, back when I was in college, I needed to go to the writing center quite frequently because my writing skills are just the worst. But it gives you writing suggestions. So rather than taking the time and going to a writing center appointment, I can just use Copilot. It's going to take a look at the text. It's going to tell me to clarify and fix the tone. And it's going to tell me, hey, maybe you want to add a sentence to make it more appealing so that it's unique and such. So I'm not telling you that it's going to replace people. I'm just telling you that it's additional tools that you can take advantage and use. All right. And as a responsible end user, I'm just going to say this one time because I was warned. Yes, I was actually warned not to keep saying this. AI content may be incorrect. So yes, it's helpful and it's going to allow you to get your work done. However, at the end of the day, you're the decision maker if you're going to rely on the output of the content. Yes, you're responsible if it's wrong. By no means do I encourage you to publish, submit, or send this to anyone without you being the evaluator of the output and such. Now, it may give you incorrect information and you don't have to, and you may not have to go look into it and find out why it's wrong. You just know the output was completely wrong, either because it's hallucinating or because it can do that. So yes, please feel free to give feedback to Microsoft. That was a great output, or hey, can you fix your answer because that was incorrect. So the more feedback you provide, the better the output it will be in the future, just to send users in the future. Exactly, you're helping customer feedback and you provide, and they provide support and such. All right, so yes, within Microsoft Word, you have the option to visualize as a table, make it formal, make it shorter, make it more energetic so that we can convince the team to actually help us get the grant or something. So I highlight the text here and I want to show you something before I answer that. So my favorite feature about Copilot in Word is converting to a table. Because before I used to say, convert this to a, well, before I had to do it manually and inserting multiple rows, multiple cells, it was just chaotic. So you can click, highlight your text and the menu automatically comes up. I click on the Copilot icon and I get the menu here. And visualize this as a table. Like I said, this is one of my favorite features simply because I personally have struggled in the past to create tables from simple text. So yes, it already has to be formatted a little bit in a way that it's going to be able to convert it to a table. With every output in Word, you'll see the option here to keep it, replace it, regenerate it, or trash it completely. So these are tools that are available in Word. We're going to see how they differ in PowerPoint and Excel shortly.
If you trash it, you don't lose the information, it goes back to the original.
Exactly. So for those online, if you discard the output from PowerPoint, you're not deleting the content that you already had. And let's go ahead and do that. It just goes back to the original information that was already there. So one way to tell that this is going to be an easy way to convert this into a table, it's easily formatted. We have the text and then a colon. We have additional verbs and then the colons. So this is an easy way to convert this specific content to a table. Whereas if I highlight a simple paragraph, for example, even though it's Copilot and it's artificial intelligence, if I tell this to visualize as a table, it's probably just going to give me a single cell with a single column because you don't have it formatted already in a style that it's going to give you a table.
So something with bullet points would probably work. Something that's just text wouldn't.
Exactly. Or if it has the colons, or if there's certain delimiters within the text already, it'll help you convert it to a table. But in this case, because there were no significant inputs, it's very limited. We would have to work more with our prompt. We would have to say every text after every column or after every comma, put a column, and then after every period, change it over to the next row. So with our request, the more detailed we are, the better the output. But as you saw, let me trash that one because I don't want that one. With this one, it would probably be a better table. This one, it's probably going to convert it as well because there's a comma and it's in period, it's in bullet points. So here's my Copilot icon that looks different than the one over here. And you're going to get different results if you use the Copilot navigation pane and tell it convert the content that I have highlighted to a table versus if I just highlight the content and select the Copilot icon and then convert over to a table over here, visualize as a table. And it's visualizing as a table rather than converting, like I've been saying, because you get the option to keep it or discard it, or even replace it. In this case, if I replace it, then it removes the bullet points that were there. And just like with any Word document, if you change your mind later on, there's the undo button, and you can just go back. And it actually kept the output of the table as if you had told it to add it additionally as well. All right. Now let's go ahead and go over to prompting in Excel because it's going to help you transform your content. And when I'm working in Excel, actually, let's do it this way. I'm going to open up an Excel workbook. And I want to show it to you this way because if I open up Excel and I tell it to start using Copilot, this time Excel is actually going to essentially yell at us and tell us that the file needs to be saved to the cloud. Start with Copilot. Cool. This is actually brand new. But if I go over to the Copilot icon and use the navigation pane, notice here the autosave is turned off and therefore I cannot work in this workbook right now. It has to be in the cloud. So because this file is not even saved, it has to be in Office 365, in my experience, for Copilot to work in Excel. So there's already a little bit of a difference that we've encountered here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my open files. And these are my files from my OneDrive. And then I'll just go ahead and open it. And here I have some data, some Excel. Now, when you're going to be working in Excel, it is best for you to organize your data in a table format for Copilot to be able to work with it. If you're not going to have your data in a table format, it's best for you to have column headers within your range. And also the content ideally should not be skipping cells, whether it's rows or columns. If you're going to start skipping rows or columns, then we're going to run into issues where Copilot is going to think that it's a separate data range completely. Copilot is going to be able to analyze your data and summarize your data and give you charts and pivot tables and such. But we do still have the limitation that it's not going to interpret charts and tables as of right now. So it will convert and create tables for you, but it's not going to read the created tables for you. You can ask questions and it will answer the questions you would have asked the chart from the raw data, from the range of your data.
Excel for AI interpretations on the data inside the cells and the roadmap.
So right now we're working with the data to create the tables, but in the future, are we going to be able to read the tables from Copilot? Right. I hope I'm not providing outdated information. Yes.
Or to keep current.
Yes, it is. It is updating on a regular basis, absolutely. And that is something we're working with. So we can open the Copilot pane, and this time, notice that Copilot is not disabled, it's not broken. I am in the formula bar. It's not that I don't have permissions to use Copilot, it's just that I have to be working on my data range to actually be able to click on the Copilot icon up here. So now we're not going to be scolded essentially because Copilot now, or Excel has the autosave enabled and it has the automated options here. If you don't know where to start with your data that's here, you can go ahead and use the prompts. So sometimes we lack the experience on doing our jobs. Maybe we're new, maybe it's a new task that we've been assigned. Copilot is going to help us take that extra step with the initiative to summarize using a pivot table or a chart, for example. So like I said, it will take a look at your data. It's going to start highlighting my text here. And it's going to take a look and highlight the content. And it's almost there. We just have to be patient. So in the meantime, any questions? Notice that the data that is being highlighted, it's using the Copilot colors to analyze it, and it's looking at the data range. And what it did was that it created a pivot table for us. Not only does it create the content for us, but it also gives us the explanation of what it did. And for example, I went to school for statistics, or I minored in statistics. And when I was looking at the raw data, yes, I could create the tables for you because that was the math part of it. But then when I had to explain it, I struggled. So when I come and take a look at the Copilot answer, it's actually helping me summarize those outputs that it's translating. So what happens with pivot tables? I can insert this as a new sheet just because that's the way Copilot works. And pivot tables work, not Copilot. And then here we have the data, and you never had to learn how to create a pivot table. It automatically does it for us. It automatically summarizes the values for us. And like I said, not only does it provide the summary, it also helps us with the explanation of the calculations that it actually did. You can then go back to your raw data and continue the calculations here if that was your interest and such. But then it'll continue working with that data as needed. So get a deeper results and then go ahead and how many key applications, etc. So we could just go ahead and use the additional prompts that Copilot is providing us to impress our audience, our superiors, our colleagues, because sometimes we lack the experience and we don't think of these things. And then Copilot is just analyzing it for us, and we can take that initial step and get going forward. So there's only 1 year, etc. And it's showing us the analysis and the output. And it also creates code. So if you lack the code experience, you can start learning, because that's, I'm assuming, where the world is going. Some of us are going to fight it tooth and nail until we have to. But otherwise, if you were doing that, Copilot is already taking the initiative and helping us. Here where it says show analysis based on the request that I made, because it took a look and it gave me the analysis answer, but then Copilot, not only is it giving you the work, it's also giving you the explanation of what it's doing, particularly in Excel. So whereas it's not giving you the sources in Microsoft Word, In Excel, it goes above and beyond, and it tells you exactly what formula it's doing, and it gives you the breakdown and the step-by-step on how it created the formula. So it's different in different applications. And sometimes, let's go ahead, you guys create presentations in PowerPoint, and I'm assuming you guys have a template for the university, or you guys just use whatever you guys want.
Wild West.
Wild West.
Off the record.
All right. So let's go ahead and open up PowerPoint. PowerPoint is going to be able to create brand new presentations for you from scratch. It's going to be able to reference PDF files, and it's going to be able to reference Word files as well. Now, it can reference Excel files to create specific slides from the charts, as we saw from the range of the data, but it's not going to create a presentation for you from an Excel file. It'll create one for you from a Word document and a PDF file. Also, for best practices, we want to set up our document, whether it's a Word document or a PDF file, with outlines, in an outline format, with defined headings, defined bodies, defined subheadings and such, so that it creates your PowerPoint presentation in a manner that is structured. Otherwise, if we're not already, like with the table, if we're not already providing it a structured environment, it's going to be a little bit, here's a single slide of your entire Word document, that's a single paragraph. Kind of like working with a run-on sentence. If you don't have the structure in the sentence, it's just gonna say, where are your contents, right? So same thing with PowerPoint and Copilot. The Copilot ribbon is up here. However, the sparkles are also a notification letting us know that Copilot is working here. Now, create a brand new presentation from scratch. Again, this is actually going to tell us the sources that it's using. If your organization had a template, you could change the design, and then you could go to your organization and use the template from University of Miami. Or
Can you, an example, actually do it?
Yes. So yes, we're going to create a presentation. So I'm giving you guys the example of creating a presentation. Microsoft 365 provides us with a lot of templates, which is fantastic for people like me who struggle with graphic design, right? Some of us are just not artistic at all. So PowerPoint, Microsoft 365 gives us the templates that we want to use for our presentations. So I'll select the design, and then I'll tell Copilot here, write the presentation about what I want to do. So let's go ahead and tell it to create a presentation. Notice that I'm not giving it any resources. I'm simply going to say, like I did in Word, create a presentation about new developments in higher education. Now, the content from PowerPoint is then going to give us what is known as the narrative builder. It's going to give us different sections, different topics. At any point, you could use the reorder topic icon to change it and change it for the way you want your presentation to be created. If there's any topics that it's suggesting that you don't agree with, you can go ahead and trash it completely. Now, notice here that it is telling us the number of slides that it's going to create. Now, if I see a topic that I want to add, we can simply click on add a new topic and tell it add a new topic about specific content that it didn't give us in the presentation here. We'll go ahead and click generate the slides. And at any point, with any Copilot output, we have the stop generating option. So with this option here, it's going to create the slides. We'll just be patient. In difference from Word and Excel, when it comes to PowerPoint, we will have the option to approve the output or discard the output. We're not going to have the option, can you change this? Can you change that? Originally, we had the option when I was working with the narrative builder. And notice here that the presentation, the options are keep this or trash this. There's not change the tone. There's not change the output here. All right. So we'll go ahead and keep it. Now, once we go into the slides, if you decide that you want to change the theme back to the basics of PowerPoint, you can simply go over to your slideshow design, and then there's the different themes that are available through PowerPoint already. But when it creates an output, I'll go ahead and double click. Every output that is created, every slide, not only is it giving you the agenda, for example, this slide that I have selected, I'm maximizing the speaker notes at the bottom, and it gives you the speaker notes for your presentation. So you don't have, I mean, you should go ahead and practice the presentation and review the presentation and fact check everything. But it gives you, in this case, the source of the pictures. And in this case, it is a Microsoft Content Library picture, which is basically a picture that's available for use to the public. It's not copyrighted or anything like that.
Now, suppose I want to put in my own picture.
Absolutely. So this, like I said, you're the one who's responsible for the finishing touches of
So, I
everything.
mean,
So I
Where
could,
we do, we trash.
Yep.
Then we go in my picture file, choose something.
exactly. So the question was, what about if I want to use my own picture in this presentation? Exactly. You select the picture, you delete it, you click on the insert picture, and just like when you were creating a presentation from scratch, you go ahead and
Now,
use your
I mean,
pictures.
will that just substitute my picture for this picture, or do I have to, how do I trash this one, or if I need to?
Yes, perfectly fine. You just go ahead and select it from your device,
then
and it'll replace it.
substitutes.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
If I just want to delete it, what do I?
So yes, you go ahead and delete it completely. Notice that
Press delete.
exactly.
Okay.
Now, with the slides themselves, I'll have to go back to the Home tab to work with Copilot within the presentation. Copilot is not going to change the entire presentation for me in PowerPoint, but I can go into each of the slides and ask questions or change the tone or change the text within the slides themselves. So if you want to create a presentation, Copilot is going to be able to help you. But let's say you wanted to change the theme to the entire presentation, that's where it hits a limit as of right now. So you can always ask a summary, or let's say you've created your presentation, you're ready to deliver for your class. Now you want to create a quiz. You guys are instructors. We could ask Copilot to create a 10 Q&A question with answers, and Copilot is going to give you questions and answers based on your presentation for you. And again, always fact check everything. So it is actually one of the automatic suggestions from Copilot now. I suppose we've been asking this question so many times that Copilot just went ahead, hey, this is something that people are asking. It's going to be in the defaulted options. So it gives you the questions, and it also gives you the answers, and it gives you the resources. Essentially, what slide is it referencing for you for that answer that it provided to us? And that's all right here within the PowerPoint presentation. Now, let's switch over content. So away from PowerPoint, away from Word, and my favorite, let's go over to Teams. So a lot of us join meetings, and then sometimes somebody walks in and we need to distract ourselves from the meeting, right? So when we are in Copilot in Microsoft Teams meetings, we have the ability to transcribe and take notes on that meeting and follow up on those meetings later on. All right, so let's go to my calendar, and it's going to be essentially your favorite tool, hopefully. It's one of my favorites. So I go into my meeting, and sometimes I'm double booked, sometimes I cannot make the meeting, sometimes I get distracted. When you have used Copilot in your meetings, you're going to see this icon that shows view the recap. Or if you open up the meeting that exists, you'll go over to the chat, and the chat tools up here at the top will also show you the option to view the recap. And this is going to take us over to the Copilot tools. Let me maximize this window. And this is the meeting that happened. And I will show you some tools that you need to enable so that you have access to this, because it's not automatically a feature. So first of all, the AI summary is created for us automatically. And then it gives us the follow-up tasks. That is simply by going over to the AI summary where we went in and selected the option to view the recap. Now, there is the Copilot icon here. When we miss a meeting and such, we can go over to, oops, what happened? Please be patient. Technology is acting up. Okay, so we use the Copilot icon. I can ask anything about this meeting. What are my personal tasks that I need to follow up on, for example? I'll go ahead and ask this. And it's going to look through the transcript, which is something that we have to enable for it to be available post-meeting. And I'll go ahead and show you the settings here shortly. So it goes, encourage students to use Microsoft Copilot, motivate students, and etc. This is literally what the meeting was about, by the way. It's not that Copilot is trying to tell you that continue using Copilot. When you are asking Copilot here, it's going to reference the tasks when the person spoke and the minute and the second of when the person spoke. So now for you to have access to these tools, let me go ahead and set up the meeting correctly. And this is something that I want you to take a look at when you get your Copilot license to see what are the default settings here at Miami, the University of Miami, because every organization has different policies and different settings in place. So I'll go into the meeting and I'll join the event. Actually, timeout, because this one has already happened. Let me just go ahead and go into Meet Now and start my meeting. And for the sake of this presentation, I'm not going to use the audio because I don't want to break things with the people who have joined us online. So I'll go ahead and join now. So first of all, let's ignore this part. Let's go ahead and enable Copilot. Now, if you're going to be using Copilot, first of all, you're going to have to select the language that is being spoken. So if you're a multicultural environment, definitely select the primary language being spoken. We'll confirm. Now, because this is happening, you're going to get a notification here by participating in this meeting and using Copilot. It is going to generate the summaries. However, the content that is being used is going to be deleted after the meeting ends. Timeout. Notice over here that the content isn't saved. However, you saw me view the content after the meeting happened, right? So in order for Copilot to be available after the meeting, I have to go into the transcription options. So start the transcription. And then again, it's going to ask me what language are the individuals speaking. And then I'll confirm here. So now you started the transcription, let everyone know they're being included. So just out of best practices, let people know that they are being transcribed. Everything that they say, it's being transcribed. And it gives them the window here that the AI content, and then it tells them that the transcription is happening. So the transcription has to be enabled in order for Copilot to be available post-meeting. If you don't want the transcription available, then you can still continue to use your Copilot during the meeting. Essentially, I came in 15 minutes late to the meeting. Can you catch me up and tell me what I missed and such? All right, so that's for your meetings. And I'll go ahead and end this meeting. And cool, going forward. Now, when you're making your requests in Copilot here, you're gonna take a look at who is involved and why do I want this? What is the response that I want from Copilot and what is being used? So in this case, I'm using two different files, an Excel file and a Word document. And how do I want the output? Short and professional, interesting, and such. So what is the sources? Who is this for? Why do I want this? Essentially, the better the request, the better the output. And you'll experience your practice with Copilot. The more you use it, the better you get at it. Kind of like when you're riding a bike, you stop falling, the more you start riding it, right? Awesome. So let's go ahead and go back to Microsoft Word, because I'm going to be able to reference files that already exist in my OneDrive, in my SharePoint, and in my Microsoft Teams. All right, so, and I can tell here, create a short and professional proposal based on particular files. So I'm going to go ahead and tell this here. Now, again, when you're referencing content, you're going to be using the slash. And then this is going to give you the most recently used files that you've accessed, that you've been working on, as long as you have permissions to work on them. And these are files in OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams, not your box files or your computer files. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the AI usage. And I can also go and use the upload icon if I'm not locating the file. And it's going to take me to the main window that I see when I open up OneDrive for Business. It shows me my recent files, and it shows me the folder for my files, especially if it's a file that is older and not something that you've been working on recently. And it also shows me here the quick access, essentially the SharePoint document libraries that I've been using. So again, I want to work on the file based on this one, and then I'm also looking at the one for the conference. So, and in this case, I want to create this document to convince people to allocate resources for the use of ethics and AI. So slash, it automatically brings up this, and I'm going to select the conference outline. It is referencing an Excel file and a Word file. So when you're referencing Word file, when you're creating Word documents, it'll reference Excel files, Word files, PowerPoint files, etc. It is PowerPoint that's going to be working with Word and PDF files. I'll go ahead and click here. Now, just like if you're asked by your boss to do 5 tasks, for example, you're going to be overwhelmed. So when we're looking at Copilot and we're referencing multiple files, at one point, if we're referencing way too many files, it's going to tell us something went wrong, please try again later. So just like that, also go ahead and take a look at your content. Now, in this case, because I requested to reference files, it is giving me the resources and where it's referencing them. I will see the footnotes when I ask to reference particular files. All right, now let's go ahead and notice here there's no information available. So the proposal will be based on this document and such. So if the content doesn't exist, and again, it might be hallucinating, you know that the file has content and such, or maybe you're experiencing a hiccup where Excel is not working from time to time. So that happens sometimes. Now, let's say you need to catch up on your content. You need to know what you need to do for the week or such. So I'll go ahead and go over into Copilot in Microsoft Teams, because like I said, this was one of the tools that I like using. I can also go into Outlook, or I could go to Copilot on the web. But I can say, what are my tasks for this week? Or I'm going to say for this month. I'm an overachiever, and I'm just going to get my work done, plan my month up, because it's the middle of the month apparently, and I now need to catch up of everything that I need to do. So here is, what are my tasks for this month? And it's going to take a look at my meetings. It's going to take a look at my email assignments that have been assigned to me. And it's going to take a look at the documents that I have been working on and telling me maybe you need to finish up those files and such. So would you like help organizing these into task lists? List my tasks without meetings. Show me upcoming deadlines. Go ahead and request that. Now, like you saw, the original request was for this month. It was not for the last 3 months, etc. So give it your time frame. The more detailed your time frame is, the better the output as well. Now, it is possible that when you are making a request and you've just created a meeting or you've just been assigned a task, it is possible that the Dataverse has not been updated for Copilot to be able to pull that information. So if you just created the assignment, it may not be available in your to-do list if you ask Copilot right away. Just be patient with those. And again, it's showing you your meetings, it's showing you your tasks for the list of tasks that it created for you. Now, I have 3 minutes left. Yes. So you want to go ahead and continue working with Copilot by asking for feedback, for insights. Please be aware of some technical problems, maybe narrow down the task. Maybe when you're making the request, go ahead and click on the new request option, kind of like when you change topics or when you're switching tasks and such, go ahead and make the new request icon. Now, things to keep in mind. You want to be aware that Copilot, it's not a human and it's going to expect a lot of details and it's going to have limitations. Just like you're working with your colleagues, you want to remain professional. Use quotation marks when you're using specific examples, and sometimes simply starting afresh. Just like we take naps, we come back, we're refreshed. You start a new topic, it'll be great. And let's go ahead and go to the next page here. Here we go. So please be clear and specific, keep it conversational, give it examples, ask for feedback, and also write legibly. You want to check the Copilot output. You want to provide details, and above all, be polite. It is artificial intelligence, but you do want to remain respectful. Now, or else I don't know. Please don't be vague. Do not request inappropriate content. If you wouldn't want your colleague to see you do something, you don't want Copilot to see you do something, basically. So don't use slang. Do not use informal language. Do not give it conflicting instructions. I remember back to my childhood, I did not want one parent telling me to do something, another parent to do something else. Copilot does not want conflicting instructions either. Do not interrupt or change topics either. So just adjust your expectations, be patient. It is still in its infancy. We're kind of hitting the ground running and it's available to you. So you just want to be balanced and be reasonable with your expectations. So check your work. Just like when you're assigned a big task, if you want to break it into simpler tasks, Copilot is going to provide you with better outputs. And you want to acknowledge that Copilot is still learning as well, please. So we now have been able to understand the concepts, hopefully. We can also choose the correct type of the prompts to ask. We notice that there's differences between applications, different applications. Just like Word can write documents, Excel can calculate data. Different expectations for every application is different. So provide additional information and just follow your best practices and stay professional. So if you're interested in Copilot, you should see the option to scan the QR code. The people online should be receiving a link, or you should be able to scan the QR code. It takes about 72 hours for it to be available to you once the IT team has processed your request. I don't know how long they're taking to process the requests. And then, so yes, basically going to the QR codes for additional resources. We want to say thank you for joining us. And you
thank you for
yes,
having us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to be here.
Can I go back to my original request?
Yes.
Okay, I want to prepare a lecture on fiscal year 26 budget.
Okay.
Budget. And so obviously it hasn't been finalized yet. Or
right.
Maybe it has, but it's, So do I have to find a source on it?
Or you could go to the work tab and say it just like you're asking me. Be engaging and keep it conversational with your request. I would do it from the work tab here, from the work tab within Microsoft Teams or on the chat version.
Work tab is
Visible to you through Office 365 on the chat version. So it is available to you also in Microsoft Teams on Copilot. And then you would, in this case, I would start a new conversation. And because I don't have access to your lecture notes or other resources, what was the request again?
The lecture hasn't been.
Oh, okay.
I want
So-
Copilot to do it for me.
So what is the request again?
Sure. The Defense Fiscal Year 2026 budget.
So there you would be specific, United States defense.
Yes, sorry, yes,
So the-
U.S. Defense budget.
Okay, let me rely on the fact that Copilot also works with spell check. Defense fiscal year budget. So prepare a lecture on the defense, on the US, right?
Yeah.
And notice that I'm not using shortcuts or anything like defense fiscal year 2026 budget.
Yeah.
And I'm using the work tab. It's not using content from the internet right now. But if it does not provide me an answer based on your lecture notes from other topics and such, and military,
No, I mean, it's doing,
Mhm.
I see this.
so it is using the latest official materials, legislative updates, and internal resources that are available to the US. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming.
Footnotes too.
Yes, you will see them here. And in this case, I went to congress.gov. And the key themes for the lecture discussion, it goes through these. And then it gives you all of the resources. Now, as an end user, I would absolutely go and click on the links just to confirm that the links actually contain content. So for example, whitehouse.gov seems to be a reliable one, and I'll just go ahead and click, and it's verifying the link, and it'll take me to the browser. Oh, it looks legit. Yeah. Like the QR codes that you're not supposed to scan throughout the campus. Absolutely. And it does show that it's a whitehouse.gov, and it looks like it's an uploaded file. And in this case,
It's doing a good job.
Yes,
I've
absolutely.
I've written N+1 of these, but you know, they change from year to year. Obviously,
Right.
you have to get a new one, and it's hitting all the right.
awesome. So as a professor, wonderful, wonderful to know this, because I literally tell people, how do I know if this is credible or reliable? And I'm just telling people, go to the library and ask them to teach you how to do some fact checking resources. Yes.
What's Alethea?
Alethea is the company that I work for.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're the training company.
Yeah, we're the training company. Yes. Training specialists.
Spanish.
Huh?
The woman's name was actually Alicia. Say it, so it came out. Yeah.
Huh.
It's a great story. It actually happens to be true, by the way.
Yes, you're very welcome, everybody. If you have questions, the next hour is specifically open for Q&A.
For your phone, like download it from the App Store or wherever.
So it is asking you for the license. So the Copilot app is still only going to use the Office 365 license that you have. It's just the own icon, the own app feature. But I definitely work with it within the apps that already exist. So
if I your cell phone,
Mhm.
can I choose not to pick the one and just a separate one, like a personal Copilot? Is that even?
a thing.
practice.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you have to pay for it, use the free version if it's not great.
Not great. Okay.
Exactly. So like I have Office 365 for my personal use, and then I could purchase the Copilot license as well with the Copilot app. But like you said, if I'm not paying for the license, the data's not going to be secured and such. So you know that so up here at the top, you have the enterprise data protection. That is for the So that tells you that the information from here is not going out and being shared externally. You're looking at me funny. Am I saying something wrong?